Hi there, lovelies. I'm Rhonda Crimes. I'm a life and leadership coach supporting everyday people just like you to reflect and rework your everyday stories so you can step into the everyday leadership of your families and communities and create compelling, meaningful, and fruitful lives every day. And today, let's talk about emotional thresholds. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to emotionally breeze through difficult times and others struggle? I'd like to suggest it has a lot to do with what we, the individual's emotional threshold is for what can be handled that is being thrown at us from our environment. We begin to feel some stress if that threshold is exceeded. If the input is continued, we can become overwhelmed. When we are in stress, we employ coping mechanisms and strategies, often those learned in our early childhood or as we're growing up, and more often than not, these aren't suitable to the current conditions. And so, unfortunately, they don't work. If you can imagine two doorways, which are common forms of thresholds, each has a strip across the bottom that is elevated from the ground. The first doorway threshold is only a couple of centimetres above ground level, while the other requires 3 steps to gain entry. Now, with both of those images in your mind, imagine it starts to rain. It's not too heavy, but a small puddle is formed in front of both of the thresholds. Nothing to worry about, the sun comes out and the puddle drains and dries. Then later in the afternoon, more rain comes. This time it's heavy and unrelenting. The puddles form quickly and spread rapidly, and the water level begins to rise. Within minutes, the water is starting to seep into the house with the low threshold, and the owner throws a towel down to mop up the water. Then that needs replacing, so a mop and bucket is brought in to try and clean up the leaking. This is not working. So the owner's like, goes outside into the rain and tries to deviate the water by digging a trench away. Now the water coming into the house is muddy as well. The owner is drenched and exhausted. The strategies haven't worked. The carpet is ruined inside. While the owner of the other house with the higher threshold has been able to stand in the doorway and watch the spectacular beauty of the storm and feel a deep appreciation that the water will be great for the garden. Can you see that while both have experienced the same environmental inputs, their stress levels were vastly different because of their thresholds? The same can be said of our emotional thresholds. People with a threshold that is too low for their environment will become chronically stressed, overwhelmed, or even traumatized, and in turn display and experience distressed and limiting beliefs, feelings, and behaviours, including anxiety, fear, drug and alcohol addictions, sexually acting out, eating disorders, poor decision-making skills, anger and violence, or withdrawal, right through to severe mental health challenges. So why can some people deal with most stuff and others struggle or overreact to the smallest thing? One suggestion from Bill Harris of the Centrepoint Research Institute is that when people are physically or emotionally traumatized while growing up, their threshold doesn't mature in a normal way. Because of this, what goes on around them and often inside of them bothers such people in a way that wouldn't bother someone with a normal threshold. Researcher Jean King of the University of Massachusetts Medical School believes that when certain stresses occur during developmental periods, it may be more damaging than stress suffered at other times. And family counsellor, author and theologian John Bradshaw cited that research estimated 96% of all families are dysfunctional to some degree. Much of the trauma is not dramatically obvious, but rather a subtle drip of small and seemingly insignificant and often unintentional parenting events, like disapproving looks, subtle criticism, broken promises, and lack of knowledge. Now, I think it's important to note that trauma does not have to be excessive. I believe it is relative to our own life experience. And this is another reason why some people's ability to cope more under extreme stress is increased and others not so well. It's important not to go down the comparison road. As we've seen in the recent pandemic restrictions, some people are feeling stress, overwhelm and trauma to a larger degree because they are not able to go out and socialise, while others of us are feeling more stress, overwhelm and trauma at the suggestion we do go out more now restrictions are easing. This is also related to the amygdala hijacking I spoke of in a previous video. I'll put the link to that in the notes, where our brain's capacity and functioning for stress is taken over by the primal fight, flight or freeze responses. In the case of a low threshold, it's disproportionate to the stress input. Want a bit of good news? Studies have shown that when a person is exposed to the same stress repeatedly, over time they will develop a desensitization and their response will decrease. Or, in other words, their threshold has been raised. There are many practices to assist raising our thresholds, like using mindful meditations where the brainwave patterns are slowed and then the individuals are trained to notice and observe emotions simply as they are and to accept them as they arise. In my own coaching, I have tools including guided meditations that enlist the 5 women's power types to intuitively counsel, support, resource, nurture and love the part inside that is hurting or holding us back, thereby increasing our threshold going forward. How different could life be for you if you could raise your emotional threshold? Dysfunctional feelings and behaviours are coping mechanisms that have gone askew, and once coping is no longer required because the threshold has been increased, the coping strategies are also no longer required. Bill Harris went on to say that raising one's threshold is so important to those who want to become happy, peaceful and conscious, because it attacks the problem at the root and bypasses the treatment of symptoms. So what can you do? By yourself, you can commit to a daily spiritual or meditation practice and learn to recognize when you are in this process of overwhelm, realizing that while it may be uncomfortable, it's a prelude to a powerful positive change if you don't fall victim to resisting the experience. Another great idea is to get familiar with your emotions and then observe your thresholds. My Managing Emotions booklet would help you do just that, with the emotion chart that you can use to help identify the emotion, and then the guided exercises to learn more about how it impacts your life. You can grab your own copy by clicking the link in the notes or from my Instagram bio. Or you can join me in my coaching programs where I can support you to curiously explore where you are now, where you want to be, and what your emotional thresholds look like. And then in partnership together, we can begin to move forward. Next week, I'm going to talk about understanding change, how it happens, what makes it difficult, and what can make it much easier. I hope this has been educational today. And please remember, if your now is not the picture you've painted for yourself and you'd like any help on this discovery path, or maybe something completely different that you intuitively know or feel isn't letting your true colours shine through, get in touch with me. You can do it really easily. Just leave me a comment, send me a private message, drop me an email, or pop over to my Calendly online diary using the link I've provided, and we can set up an obligation-free curiosity call and see if we're a good fit for each other. Much love. Until next time.